your Instagram following is not a clear reflection of your success. So while we have scaled our company to a 7-figure company, that it is not because of social media.
That's Brooke Cates, the founder and CEO of the Bloom Method. She's been growing her pre- and postnatal fitness membership since 2018, and she's learned a lot about the business of memberships along the way. In this interview, Brooke gives us an inside look at how the Bloom membership is structured, her secret for paid ads that actually work, and an underrated tool that can help your membership rank in Google search. I think the best place to get started, can you just give me a quick recap of where you were before to now as a membership business owner?
Yeah. Well, wow. The Blue Method has come a long way. About 10 years ago, I was with one-on-one clients. I created the methodology within that one-on-one client work. And from there, opened a brick and mortar studio, turning my methodology into group fitness. And within the first 6 months of having the brick and mortar studio, we started filming for an online app. We officially launched the app in 2018. And we actually have been with 2 other video like OTT platforms before Uscreen. We are so happy to be with Uscreen now.
So when you started selling online video, was that a membership from the get-go?
Yep. It was always subscription based. If I remember correctly, we just did monthly. The first year it was only monthly, and then we shifted. When we went to Vimeo, we did monthly and yearly, and now with you guys we do monthly, quarterly, and yearly.
I wanted to ask you, with the monthly, quarterly, and yearly, that's not a breakdown that we see a lot. We see monthly and yearly a lot. So why did you decide to add quarterly?
So we are super niched methodology. We work with women trying to conceive, pregnant, and postpartum. And yes, sometimes that postpartum phase can be anywhere from immediately postpartum, a year postpartum. And then we have more veteran moms that are, 10 years postpartum sometimes, that need some core and pelvic floor support. But with that, I think it was just giving women options. Women love options. And sometimes there are some stigmas that can be attached to pre and postnatal fitness. We tend to push the boundary with those stigmas because we are very innovative in our methodology. And we really believe that women can move their bodies however they want to move their bodies, as long as they implement a certain foundational piece of core and pelvic floor awareness. So sometimes women feel safer, committing to just 3 months, but instead of doing monthly or the yearly. And I think sometimes people are motivated by price, and they get a little bit of a discount from by choosing quarterly versus just coming in monthly. Because sometimes the yearly feels like way too much for people, depending on where they're at in their motherhood journey.
Right. So it sounds like it's a combination of accessibility and you don't want people scared by a year-long commitment.
Absolutely. Yep. We just want them to have options.
It's also an impressive list of coaches that you have working with you in Studio Bloom. Can you talk a little bit about how that works in terms of the membership? Like, how are those coaches on your team? How do they provide video or coaching for you?
So we're a really small team. We like to say we're a small but mighty team at Bloom. We have a couple of editors, and then my husband actually is the one who's always on set. And so with that, we hired coaches, trained them in our methodology. All of our coaches have a pre and postnatal background to some degree, and then we train them in our methodology, and we focus on what lights our coaches up. So we don't bring our coaches in and require them to teach certain fitness modalities. We have coaches that just teach bar or just teach cycling for us because that's what lights them up. And then we make sure that they are certified in our methodology. But as of right now, our coaches come in when we film, and they get paid based on their time. So our pay structure works for us. It may not work for everyone, but we have classes that at this point don't max out over 30 minutes. So we pay our coaches based on how long they teach the class per 10, 20, and 30-minute increments. And then we also give them affiliate links so they can continue to earn money throughout the year. We actually give them 40% of reoccurring revenue for every person that subscribes through them for the lifetime of that subscriber. And yeah, I think that's the gist. So we pay them when they film, and then they get paid. So if they're out in the world being kind of like this coach ambassador for Bloom, we give them money back for that.
I'm curious, is there a way that you guide new members into your content so it doesn't feel like, oh my goodness, there's almost 600 videos here, what do I do?
Yes, we have, at this point, we've done it in various ways, and we're always scaling and changing it and trying to like really get more honed in on things. But so mainly we have a trying to conceive category, a prenatal category, and a postnatal category where the majority of our stuff lives. We have other categories as well. But what we do now is we have a start here experience, if you will. It's basically a collection that lives within a category, and we have a 7-day free trial. So we did a 7-day start here collection. And the idea is that people would come into the platform wherever they are trying to conceive prenatal, postnatal. There's also a start here category because you really just have to put it in front of them in so many places for them to see it. I also, for anyone watching this, we work with pre and postnatal women. They are so hormonal and they are just inundated with information. So we always take that into consideration when they seem overwhelmed, and we're like, why are they overwhelmed? But that start here experience is just that. Because we are quote unquote a methodology, we do have kind of this foundational roadmap, if you will, which consists of like 5 different techniques that are core and pelvic floor based. And from our perspective, it is important for women to learn those techniques, or to just go there. Why are they even in our app? Sure, our workouts are safe, but they're not being called to learn anything different. And that's what we're here to do, is actually call women to be in their bodies and experience movement in a different way that's more effective and supports their bodies and the changes they're undergoing better. So that start here, what we started to do, instead of like just requiring them to do our foundational videos, because that's what we used to do. So it was like, it's important that women understand the method. This is where we want them to start. Here are our foundational videos. And what we started finding out was that because of the fitness industry, women get pregnant and they come into the app and they're like, screw this. We don't care about the education. And it's, of course, just a percentage of people, but a large enough percentage would say, well, we don't care about the education. We just want to sweat, right? Like, I'm pregnant. I just want to sweat. I want to feel like I'm working out. And they would skip that and then be so confused 6 weeks later because they had skipped this portion. So what we did in that 7-day start here experience is give them both. So day 1, for example, has like the first foundational piece plus a 20-minute workout. So we're saying, here's the education we want you to learn, and here's that instant gratification workout that if we don't give you, you're just going to blindly search for it on our app.
And so you mentioned the app a couple times, and I really want to dig into that. Like, what kind of draw is that app for you?
We work with moms, so they want accessibility. And I think for a busy modern mom who 9 times out of 10 is just struggling to get the self-care in, it is often easier for her to throw it on her TV than to pull up the app. And like, a lot of times women really want to see what the modifications are that we're giving them. And I think sometimes having it on that bigger screen is just so much more helpful.
That makes sense. I also saw that you have the Apple Watch app too, right?
We do, but we don't use it.
Okay.
But we're talking about using it more in 2023, because I think it's an incredible thing to do, especially for accountability. And I personally am not someone I don't even wear an Apple Watch. So I don't use like the health app, and I'm not I don't care about like how many calories I'm burning in a workout. But so many moms are, and it motivates so many individuals in the world. So I love the idea of it. We've just never used it. And I would probably say, if you got down to like really the reason we've never pushed it is because we are growing so rapidly that it's one of the many things that just keeps getting pushed in the background, because there are other more important things that we need to address for our small but mighty team.
I'm curious about that rapid growth. Is there a change that you've made recently that kicked that off, or do you think that's the culmination of all of your efforts over time?
I think it's 2 things. Yeah, I think it's all of the efforts, getting really clear in our messaging. I also do believe that because we are one of the pioneers in pre and postnatal fitness from a more innovative space, that really helps us. We've had a name in the space for about 10 to 12 years. And yes, efforts getting really clear on ads and what the messaging is. And, we've gone through our share of crummy ad agencies, and we've probably lost a lot of money working with crummy ad agencies over the years. And now we just have a killer one. But I will also tell you that it's the natural growth of an OTT platform, from everything from being willing to listen to what our members want and delivering on that from a content perspective, as well as scaling our content.
Has there been something that you have tried for the marketing efforts for Bloom Method that you immediately were like, I'm never doing this again?
That's a great question. It's tricky. The one thing that comes to mind is like the dipping our toes in the influencer marketing space. I would say that we've never really done it right. I see that it works for some companies, and it's always just been this thing that it's been more organic for us. We've had some influencers that organically love our app, and it has worked. And then anytime we've tried to pay an influencer, it just didn't really work. So I would say that that's the one thing that I stay curious about. So I'm not a hard stop at it, but in the past, it's never really proven to have like a really great return on investment for sure.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. And you mentioned, Instagram and organic reach. The Bloom Instagram itself has over 70,000 followers, and that's really cool. So how does the social media presence play a part in the business?
I would probably say that it depends on who you're talking to. Before Instagram was like, thank you for saying that it's impressive that we have 80,000 followers. I see it differently because I feel like nowadays, if you don't have like 300,000 followers, you're not taken seriously. But back in the day when I was first doing this work, I've run our Instagram myself until about 2.5 years ago. We now have a social media manager who is amazing. But I've always run it, and I didn't do it with any there was no plan. I just did it. It's really honestly how I've always run my business too, from passion, from like what feels good and saying yes to the things that really feel good. We had an organic following in the beginning because we push boundaries with pre and postnatal fitness. And so people like that, or they don't like it and they're like haters in the background, which everybody has. But present day, I would say we struggle to grow rapidly because we are a business, and we live in a world where if other creators are watching this and you fall more in line with being a business versus an influencer on social media, from my perspective and experience, influencers are who grows. People are on social media to watch and feel like influencers are their best friends, right? And so we've struggled to grow over the past several years as Instagram kind of turned into that. But I also come back to, we don't have 80,000 subscribers on the app. I guess I would say that. Like, your Instagram following is not a clear reflection of your success. So while we have scaled our company to a 7-figure company, that it is not because of social media. Sure, does social media help? And is it a great organic form of word of mouth and getting our company out there? For sure, hands down, do the social media. But it's not black and white. Like, I think people often think that Instagram is black and white, and they'll think, oh my gosh, this influencer and her online program must be really great because she has 500,000 followers. Chances are there's only a small percentage of that 500,000 followers that actually supports the program that influencer does.
I saw that there's a blog on the Bloom website. Would you tell me a little bit about that?
I think this can be a big issue for a lot of current new companies and companies that are trying to stay with the curve of change. And that is that they want to have a big Instagram following. They want to be on TikTok and have a big following, and they forget about the nuts and bolts, which is SEO. And a lot of that happens on your website and within blogs. And for years, my company has said, my internal team that I trust a lot because I'm not a mastermind with marketing and ads and SEO and website building, is that if social media crashed, there's all these what ifs. If things stopped working, could your business still stand on the original like foundation of what helps a business grow? And that is, do you have a healthy website score? Or do you have good SEO built into your website and your blogs? Because at the end of the day, Google still operates from all of that. So if you are trying to run ads on Google and you're trying to have this really great presence through an organic traffic space, if someone goes in and Google's pre and postnatal fitness, we want Google to recognize the Bloom method. And the way to do that, Google could care less how many followers we have on Instagram. That is not getting our name to the first page, hopefully the top of that page from an organic search, keyword search. And so that is where our blog comes in. And then last but not least, we have actually learned that some of our highest performing ads are ads that link to blogs. So they propose a question, and then when people click on them, they actually take them to a blog where they can learn more information before converting to be a subscriber than just converting them. So instead of just clicking on the app and it taking them to our sales page, those are our highest traffic driving ads. And it shows us that women still want the information. They still want to learn. So we continue to build more blogs to filter people from an ads perspective to that information and education.
I love that, especially since that ties into something that we've really been talking about a lot lately. You may have seen Daniel on a webinar recently talking about when you have paid ads, building that relationship before you get to a sales page is what helps that conversion. And your blogs, you just said, are a perfect example of that working in the real world. So that's really cool. I love it.
It's like building that trust, right? The consumer wants to know they can trust you. And I think in today's world where, again, people feel like influencers are like their best friends when they don't even know them, it's just human connection. We all want to be able to relate to the individual or the brand that we're giving our money to because we work so hard for that money, right? I think at the basis of all of that is like, I want to trust your brand and I want to feel that I can relate to your brand. And you can do that with that information piece.
Talking about trust, you have a page on the Bloom website just for testimonials, which is a step above what we normally see of a block on a landing page with testimonials. And these women are writing glowing reviews with tons of information in them. And we talk about getting testimonials all the time as something super valuable. Do you do anything special to ask for those testimonials? Where are you finding the people who are willing to just shout from the rooftops that they love Bloom?
Yeah, this is a great question. One that I would love to hear your other creators answer to see experience with this. But, this one has actually been a little tricky for us. So when Uscreen announced that you guys were going to have that in-app review prompt, I was like, thank God, we need that. I'm not saying that people will do it, but at least it's a prompt to remind people if they're loving the app to go and leave a review. In the past, so sometimes people just come leave a review and that's wonderful, right? We all love those people, easy peasy. But in the past, so we sell some fitness equipment that is Bloom specific and that we use on the app. And in the past, our resistance bands, we have used those as incentive. And the way that we have done that in the past is we send out an email and we just say, hey, if you'll go leave us a review and screenshot the review and send it back to us, we'll send you a free set of resistance bands. Believe it or not, initially that worked incredible for us. And every time we would do it, we would get anywhere from 100 to 115, 20 reviews. And then it stopped working. And I think it stopped working because at the end of the day, people don't want to have to do too many steps. And leave the review, take a picture of the review, send it back to us, and then we'll do it is way too many steps. So it's about simplifying it. Again, kudos to you guys for adding that in-app review prompt, but it's been tricky. Again, we've been in business for a long time. We've been a company for 10 years. So that's a long time to culminate these testimonials and reviews. So we're still figuring that out, to be honest.
If you go back to when you were first thinking about starting an online membership, would you give yourself any advice of something to do differently or something to keep an eye out for? What would you tell Brooke in early 2017 before launching that membership?
I would prepare myself better, in all honesty, to have thicker skin. And this is why. I'm a firm believer that every creator out there, no matter what you do in the world, you have a unique gift that the world deserves to see. So at Bloom, we do not believe in competition. We do not believe in scarcity mentality. There's abundance for everyone. And what I mean with that is that I've always known that what I was doing with Bloom and my vision with Bloom deserved a place in the world. There was never a doubt in that. I've always been very strong in that. Like, just do it, take the leap, stop being scared, take the jump. Yes, there are millions of people that may be doing what you're doing, but they're not doing exactly what you're doing because your uniqueness makes that different, right? But what I wasn't ready for are, we tend to call them trolls, but the reality is that there are, when you decide to go online and you put yourself out there and your gift in front of billions of people, to be honest, you got to be prepared. People are going to tell you that you're an idiot. People are going to tell you that what you're doing isn't good enough. People are going to tell you that what you're doing isn't right. And I would recommend being prepared for that and being so sure that you are doing what you are intended to do in the world, that you literally have this like protective bubble around you that it can just reverberate off of you. And sure, be willing to take constructive criticism too, because sometimes it'll hurt initially, but when you sit back and take a different lens, you're like, okay, I can understand where maybe if we tweaked this a little bit, it could be more supportive for this population of people. But I think that is what I remember just looking at my husband and being like, I don't know that I'm cut out for this. Like, these people are coming in hot with some pretty harsh feedback in the beginning. And here we are doing the best we can. I remember actually something that I used to say in the beginning a lot, because I can be pretty spicy and fiery. And so people would, comment like, I said, we did this all from the ground up. We've been a bootstrap business. We have never taken on investors. And in the beginning, we were filming everything in our brick and mortar studio, and there was a lot of reverberation. It would be kind of echoey, and we did everything we could to try to hone down on that. But again, trial and error. And there would be people that would come in hot and be like, your mic is really echoey. And I remember just my response, again, I think it was a protection mechanism of myself. And I would be like, okay, Susan, what did you do today? What have you done in the world today that helped other people? Because people come in hot. And I look at that and I laugh now. And I just wish I would have had thicker skin just to protect my heart. Because I think oftentimes creators aren't prepared for that. And we can get so excited about what we're doing in the world, and we just want to share it, and we want to give our gifts to the world to help other people. And then those negative, negative feedback comes in, and depending on the individual, it can really deflate the vision and the dreams and the passion. And I would say, don't let it deflate. Like, if anything, let it like ignite that passion even more, and stay curious about how you can like overcome the negative feedback, because you can do everything good in the world. You can be the best of the best, and you're always going to have someone who says you're not good enough. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents on that.